regreso aquí en Auto 060 y ahora we're going to switch again back to English because we now have Jessica Anderson for Kiplingers.com to talk about a topic that comes up a lot when people are deciding to either buy or getting a new car, which is should I buy or should I lease? How are you, Jessica?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Excellent. Thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us. And seriously, this is a question that comes up all the time. I mean, people who know what I do or journalists who cover the auto industry, and at least I'm sure it comes up to you among all your friends and family and all that. Should I buy or should I lease? Right? It's a very, very touchy point because it's about money at the end of the road.
Yeah, absolutely. And, people are always saying, well, is it better to buy because then I end up with something, or, is it better to lease so I'm not spending money on something that maybe I, won't use for the, full 5 years or something. So it's definitely a touchy subject.
Yeah, exactly. So you at Kiplingers.page.com, you came up with 5 answers that are going to try to give some clarity to this. So it's a bad deal? That's the first thing, the first question. Is it leasing a bad deal?
No, it's not. So the story that we did was, 5 myths. So things that, some people might assume if you're coming from a background of, a family that always bought their cars, you might say, oh, well, leasing's just a bad deal. You don't get anything at the end of it. But in general, if you keep a car well past the day that the loan is paid off or you pay cash, you're going to save money by buying. But if you are somebody that likes to be in a new car fairly often, you might trade in your car before the loan is paid off. Your trade-in value might not always cover the remaining balance of the loan. So you're actually going to come out way ahead by leasing.
Yeah, exactly. And leasing, I guess the attractive thing for some people is that you get less payments, monthly payments, right? But again, that's
right.
That you were saying that you don't get anything at the end, but like if you do the math, it's actually more beneficial.
It is, because the payments are lower because you're only using for the portion of the car that you're using, not the entire cost of the car. So you're paying, for the drop in resale value basically over the 3-year period instead of paying for the entire car up front.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, a friend of mine was talking about this just last week. And she was thinking about getting an old car, and then she thought about, what about leasing? I mean, there are leases that are really not very expensive, and she was thinking, so should I get an old car and pay it cash, and then I'm going to be putting like $200 every month to fix something? So I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah, and that's another one of the perks is that you've got this peace of mind kind of built in with leasing that the repairs are covered. It's a brand new car, so anything that goes wrong with it is going to be under warranty. And a lot of the automakers are now offering maintenance programs as well. So they're actually going to be covering, your, oil changes and stuff like that. So it's very, very low cost.
Yeah. And the other thing on your list is like it's nearly impossible to negotiate a good deal in a lease.
Yeah, and I think that that's kind of something that people think often also, because you see these deals on TV and they're like, oh, get, a new Nissan Altima for, $179, and you go in and you pick out the Altima that you want, and then they're like, oh, well, that's $300. And, because you haven't, that's just offered on one specific model. Well, if you, argue, and negotiate with the dealer just as you would on a new car, you're going to be able to get a much better monthly price for your lease. You just have to kind of know the lingo to go in with. For example, the capitalized cost is the price of the car. So just like you wouldn't pay sticker price if you were buying it, you don't want to pay sticker price if you're leasing it too, so you should negotiate that just the same as if you were buying.
And the key here for our audience and your readership also at Kiplingers.com is like to do the homework, right? Go informed into the dealership. Don't go like a blind person showing up like, I want that car and give me what you have, right? So they have to.
Right. Yeah. If you don't do your homework, they're gonna, they're gonna get a really good deal out of you, and you're not going to get a very good deal out of them.
So that's the great thing about these kind of articles that you write at Kiplingers.com. So the other thing is about the tax break. A lot of people think that it only works for your business.
Right. Well, and individuals get a tax break also. In most states, you only pay sales tax on the monthly payments, not the entire vehicle price. There are a couple of states like Arkansas, Illinois, Maryland, Oklahoma, Texas, and Virginia, which actually do charge the sales tax on the entire price of the car. But in general, you're going to be getting, a good deal because you're not going to be paying for, taxes on a $25,000 car, say. You're just going to be paying for, perhaps the $15,000 worth of your payments.
Yeah. One more thing is when you turn in the car, again, wear and tear, what's normal wear and tear, miles and all that aren't put into the contract. So that's another thing that people are afraid of when they do a lease, right? What's going to happen when I return the car?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my advice to people is always just, if you treat the car the way that you would treat a car that you purchased, take good care of it, you're not going to be having, to pay hefty fees on the back end. Before you enter into a lease, do, kind of a rough calculation on how many miles, you typically drive, say in a month, and then, multiply that by 12 and kind of figure out how much you typically drive per year. If you think that the, say maybe 12,000 miles that are built into the lease isn't going to be enough for you, you can talk to the dealer and kind of negotiate perhaps a higher payment, but that way, you'll be paying up front for more miles rather than paying the, 25 cent per mile fee on the back end.
Yeah, and get surprised, right? At the end.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And then, so that the final one, we have a couple minutes here left. If you want to get out early of a lease, some people believe it's almost impossible.
And that is one of the biggest myths out there. Is just that there are plenty of ways to get out of a lease. Obviously you want to really think through your needs before you enter into something like that, because there will be an early exit fee if you have to turn in the lease early, and sometimes, it's just the remainder of all your payments. But there are now several fee-based websites, including leasetrader.com and swapalease.com, which both match people who want to get out of their lease early with people that want to assume a short-term lease. So say I've got, a 3 Series BMW and I'm 2 years into the lease and I'm like, I can't handle the payments. I just lost my job. I got to get rid of it. Well, there's not really somebody out there looking, to maybe test out that BMW 3 Series, and maybe they're just not sure if they want to buy it, if they want to lease it, or if that's really the car for them. But if they can get into it for a year, what's left on my lease, that's going to, give them an opportunity to, really, really get a good idea if it's the car for them.
Excellent. Jessica Anderson from kiplinger.com. And that's the website where people can follow you and see what you're informing us about, right?
Yep, that's right.
And the other thing, as we were saying, do your homework before. Read the contract, right? The fine print is there for a reason, so you don't want to be surprised with that either.
Exactly.
And I always say,
read the contract.
Yeah, the biggest lie in every contract is I read and understood everything in this contract. Most people don't. And that's true.
No, they don't. And then you just sign and then you're done.
So read it and understand it, please. Jessica Anderson, thank you very much from kiplinger.com.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Pues ahí tienen esta información sobre los 5 mitos sobre hacer un lease o comprar un auto con Jessica Anderson de kiplinger.com, y como siempre vamos a poner toda la información de la que hablamos, todos los temas que tocamos aquí en el show de hoy. Vamos a poner nuestra página de Facebook, facebook.com/auto060. También los invito como siempre a que visiten el canal de YouTube, Auto060 en YouTube. A mí me pueden seguir personalmente en Twitter, @Javier Mota, y los espero en la próxima edición de Auto 060 aquí en Cristina Radio Network.
Este programa fue una producción de National Latino Broadcasting.